Dear 10th standard students, once again welcome to History Unit 3, The Impact of British Rule in India. You have already watched the first part of this lesson. This is the second part. Let's begin. The modern education system. The traditional education of Indians was in practice continuously. Certain changes occurred in the traditional education system during the rule of Muslim kings during the Middle Ages. During the Middle Ages, especially during the rule of Muslim kings, certain changes occurred in the traditional education system. Later, new changes occurred during the British rule during 18th century. Again, changes occurred during 18th century during the British rule. New schools were started for the children of British and Europeans living in India. Since these facilities were never extended to the locals, it was of no use for them. Warren Hastings facilitated the expansion of the modern education in India. In 1781, he started Calcutta Madrasa. Calcutta Madrasa was started by Warren Hastings. He facilitated the expansion of the modern education in India. Jonathan Duncan, a British citizen, started Sanskrit College in Banaras in the year 1792. Sanskrit College in Banaras was started by Jonathan Duncan. But it was Charles Grant who pressed for the universalization of British education in India. You must remember these three important personalities: Warren Hastings, Jonathan Duncan, and Charles Grant. Along with this, the expansion of the British education in India received special support after the appointment of Lord William Bentinck in 1828 as the Governor General of India. When Lord William Bentinck was appointed as Governor General of India in 1828, the expansion of the British education received special support because he gave more importance to the British education in India. He appointed Macaulay as the member of Governor General's Executive Committee. Lord William Bentinck appointed Macaulay as the member of Governor General's Executive Committee. Macaulay was also appointed as the chairperson of the Committee on Education. He was the member of Governor General's Executive Committee and also chairperson of the Committee on Education. Lord Macaulay played an important role in the introduction of English education in India. The report on education submitted by Lord Macaulay in the year 1835 became the base of modern education in India. His policy aimed at the creation of a new class of Indians who are Indian by body but British in intelligence, opinion, and taste. The use of English medium in Indian learning system started after 1830s. Another important development included the establishment of universities in India. The Governor General Lord Dalhousie established universities in Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras as per the suggestions of Charles Wood's Commission. The universities in Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras were started by Lord Dalhousie. He was the Governor General of India. He started these universities as per the suggestions of Charles Wood Commission. Chalsud Commission was started in the year 1854. After this, the education started becoming universalized in India. Now let's see what were the impacts of British education in India. First one, Indians could develop modernity, secularism, democratic attitudes, and rationality along with nationalistic ideals. Second one, impetus was received for the local literature and languages. This facilitated unity in thinking process among the educated class. Third one, due to British education, periodicals started emerging. These scrutinized the policies and working of the government, which in turn enabled the Indians to have critical opinions on various issues. Fourth one, new social and religious reformation movements emerged. The thoughts of thinkers like J.S. Mill, Rousseau, and Montesquieu brought fresh thinking in the mind of educated youth of India. The freedom struggle that were taking place across the globe influenced the Indians also. Indians could understand and appreciate their rich tradition. These are the 7 impacts of British education in India. These 7 points are very important from the exam point of view. We may expect question like this: explain the impact of British education in India. Then you must write all these 7 points. Let's move to another concept of this lesson, that is constitutional development. Along with the British administration, problems also grew in India. In order to alleviate the problems, reformation in administration became important, and these reformations needed to address the demands of Indians. The British attempted to create different rules in the form of law and tried to implement them. These types of laws helped the evolution of constitution in India. These are the background of constitutional development. Let us see important acts. First one, Regulating Act, which was introduced in the year 1773. After the implementation of Diwani rights in 1765, the greedy company officials misused this provision and became rich in a corrupt way. Corruption spiraled out. Edmund Burke, a member of the British Parliament, criticized the corruption in the East India Company. He termed the tax payment received by the British government from the East India Company as criminal tax. According to Edmund Burke, the tax payment received by the British government from the East India Company as criminal tax. Edmund Burke was forced to criticize in this manner, as the government remained silent to the fact of corruption among the company officials. Many company officials had become super rich, and the many in England feared that these people may upset the very political fabric of England. The Regulating Act was implemented in this background in 1773. These are the important features of Regulating Act of 1773. First one, before the implementation of the Act, there were 3 presidencies under British rule. They are Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. All these 3 were independent administrative units. Under Regulating Act, the Bengal presidency gained control over the other 2 presidencies. like Madras and Bombay. Second one, the Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of all these three presidencies like Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. The Governor General was authorized to direct, exercise control, and supervise over the other two presidencies. The Bombay and Madras presidencies could not declare war on anyone or enter into peace agreements without prior approval of the Governor General of Bengal Presidency and the Board of Directors of the company. Only during acute emergencies they were entitled to act independently. According to this act, Supreme Court of Judicature was established in Calcutta. In this central court, one Chief Justice and three ordinary judges were there. Next one, Pitt's India Act, which was introduced in the year 1784. There were many inconsistencies in the Regulating Act of 1773. In order to rectify them and also to clarify and also clearly outline the powers of the East India Company and the British government, Pitt's India Act was implemented. In order to overcome the problems which were there in Regulating Act, this Pitt's India Act came into existence. The government of England restricted the powers of the East India Company. Now let us see the main aspects of Pitt's India Act of 1784. A new institution named Board of Controllers consisting of 6 commissioners was started. The Board of Controllers replaced the Board of Directors. This board had powers to direct and control the issues related to land taxes, military, and civil areas. The Board of Control came into existence in the place of Board of Directors. Pitt's India Act declared that the Indians have attained their paramount power in the name of the British Empire only, but not on their own, and curtailed the political rights of Indians conclusively. It declared that the areas under the possession of the East India Company and the internal part of the British Empire, hence the government of England is the ultimate ruler of British Empire. These are the important aspects of Pitt's India Act of 1784. Let's move to Charter Acts. The main aim of Charter Acts was to renew the license of the East India Company. The Charter Acts of 1793, 1813, 1833 and 1853 were implemented to achieve this aim. As and when the charters were implemented once in 20 years, the new rules and regulations found fit by the British government was included in these acts. Among these, the Charter Acts of 1813 and 1833 are important for many reasons. Now let us see Charter Act of 1813. The main aspects of Charter Act of 1813 are, there are 4 important aspects. First one, this act licensed the East India Company to stay for another 20 years in India. Before the implementation of this act, a demand to allow any interested person to carry out trade in India was there. This act allowed this demand and authorized all interested persons to carry out trade in India. With this act, the free trade era started in India. Due to 1813 Charter Act, the free trade era started in India. Second one, a new era of license and authorization started. Third one, the board of directors was vested with the powers to appoint the governor general and the commander in chief. Fourth one, the churches were allowed to enter India officially. The Christian missionaries were directed to enrich the knowledge of Indians and also enhance the moral and spiritual life of Indians. Many Christian missionaries started arriving in India after this act. The expansion of Christianity and English education started taking place. These are the four important aspects of Charter Act of 1813. Another Charter Act is the Charter Act of 1833. This act aimed at improving the situation in India. It also licensed East India Company to remain in India for another 20 years. Now let us see the main aspects of this act. There are 7 important aspects in this Charter Act. First one, the Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. Second one, the Governor General was vested with powers to direct, control and supervising all trades in India. Third one, the central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace and diplomatic relationship with the princely states of India. Fourth one, the Governor General was mandated to put his difference of opinion with the executive committee members in writing. Whenever he differed with the majority opinion, the act banned any discrimination based on religion, birth and skin color. Sixth one, the Governor General was mandated to appoint a law professional as member to his executive committee. All British companies were allowed to have trade relationship in India. In this way, the Charter Act of 1833 throws more light on the internal situation of India and also the various political developments present in England during the 1830s. These two are the important Charter Acts. Now let us see British Government Acts. The Sepoy Mutiny, which took place due to maladministration of the East India Company and also anti-Indian acts in 1857. As a result, the administration of India was handed over to the British Queen from the East India Company. During this period, India Government Acts of 1858, 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919 and 1935 were implemented. Due to various political developments during different periods makes these acts historically very important. Among British Government's acts, first one, let us see Indian Government Act of 1858. This act needs to be understood in the backdrop of civil and military unrest that took place in 1857. India came under the direct rule of British government. The Queen of England, she was known as Victoria, announced that all-round development of India would be ensured by the British government on November 1st, 1858. Let us see what are the important features of Indian Government Act of 1858. First one, The license of East India Company was cancelled and India was brought under the direct administration of the Queen as per the Act of 1858. Second one, the post of Governor General was changed into Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. In picture you are seeing Lord Canning. He became the first Viceroy of India. Third one, a new post called Secretary of State for India was created in the British government. The Secretary was part of British Cabinet and was responsible for the administration of India. Last one, a Council of India was created in order to assist the Secretary in the administration. The Council had 15 members. These are the important features of Indian Government Act of 1858. Another important British Government Act was Indian Councils Act of 1861. This is an important act that came into effect after the 1857. With this act, Indians were allowed to participate in the process of creating laws. In order to understand the aspirations of Indians, representation was given to Indians. This is called as policy of assertion. Now let us see the important features of Indian Council Act of 1861. Here we can see two important features. First one, Indians were nominated to the Council of Viceroy as non-official members. Second one, Viceroy was authorized to proclaim ordinances in case of emergency. Let us see Indian Councils Act of 1892. This act is the continuation of Indian Council Act of 1861. This act of 1892 further extended the participation of Indians in the legislative bodies. The critical view expressed by the Congress organization towards the British administration led to this expansion of Indian representation in the governance. This act has three important features. Let us see three important features of Indian Council Act of 1892. First one, the number of additional members in the regional and central legislative bodies was increased. The Legislative Council's authority was increased further by allowing discussion on budget related issues. Third one, provision was made to question the government on public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. These are the important features of Indian Council Act of 1892. Let's move to Indian Councils Act of 1909. This act is also called as Minto-Morley Reforms Act. During the formulation and implementation of this act, Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India and Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India. This act was used to divide and rule India. The following are the important features of Indian Council Act of 1909. There are four important features. First one, the total number of central legislature members was increased to 60 from 16. The number of regional council members was also increased. Representation of the regional council was allowed through election for the first time. Fourth one, In order to provide separate representation for Muslims, separate electoral college was created. Separate electoral college was created as per Indian Council Act of 1909 or Minto-Morley Act of 1909. Now let us see another important act, that is Government of India Act of 1919. Here, since Indians took active part in the First World War, Lord Montagu, who was the Secretary of State for India, argued in favor of providing more representations to Indians in the matter of administration. He was in favor of allowing people's participation in the formation of government gradually. Lord Chelmsford, who was the Viceroy, declared various reformative measures to the British Parliament on August 20th, 1917. The Indian Council Act of 1919 was formulated by accepting this report. This act is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act because Montagu was the Secretary of State for India. Lord Chelmsford was the Viceroy. Government of India Act of 1919 consists of 6 important features. Let us see the important features of this act. First one, this act formulated bicameral legislative body. Lower house and upper house were formed. Hierarchy was allowed at regional governments, and High Commissioner was appointed for India. This act promised to improve local self-government. Provincial budget was separated from central budget. Separate electoral college was extended for Muslims, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. As per Minto-Morley reforms, separate electoral college was created only for Muslims, but as per the Government of India Act of 1919, separate electoral college was extended for Muslims, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. These are the 6 important features of Government of India Act of 1919 or Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act of 1919. In exam we may expect question like this: what are the important features of 1919 Act? Last act of this lesson, that is Government of India Act of 1935. This act acted as the base for the formation of Indian Constitution. The report submitted in 1928 under the leadership of Motilal Nehru was the instrumental in the formation of the act. Most of the provisions in the Indian constitutions are based on this act. This act allowed the formation of fully responsible government by Indians. This act was applicable both to the Indian principalities and also to the British India regions. This act has 5 important features. Let us see the important features of Government of India Act of 1935. First one, a federal system of Indian principalities, British governed regions and dominion states was formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. Hierarchy was established at the center. Hierarchy was cancelled at the regional level and autonomy was granted. Last one, the federal court was established. These are the important features of Government of India Act of 1935. In exam we may expect question like this. How does the India Government Act of 1935 become the base of Indian Constitution? In this way, one should understand the various political developments that resulted in the formation of various acts that aided the formation of Indian Constitution. Though these acts serve the purpose of British interest, they also include the aspirations of Indians for self-governance. These acts should be understood as the result of struggle led by Indians for self-rule. These are all about History Unit 3, the impact of British rule in India. Textbook questions, extra questions, 1 mark questions and MCQ questions are available in the description. By clicking on the links, you can get the answers for all these questions.